Good morning, this is the Paradise Unicorn Priestess bringing you day 138 of A Course in Miracles, the Yin translation where we use female words. This would be May 18th if you're starting at the new year. The choice for completion. In looking at the special relationship, it is necessary first to realize that it involves a great amount of pain. Anxiety, despair, guilt, and attack all enter into it, broken into by periods in which they seem to be gone. All these must be understood for what they are. Whatever form they take, they are always an attack on the self to make the other guilty. I have spoken of this before, but there are some aspects of what is really being attempted that have not been touched upon. Very simply, the attempt to make guilty is always directed against God. For the ego would have you see her and her alone as guilty, leaving the childship open to attack and unprotected from it. The special love relationship is the ego's chief weapon for keeping you from heaven. It does not appear to be a weapon, but if you consider how you value it and why, you will realize what it must be. The special love relationship is the ego's most boasted gift, and one which has the most appeal to those unwilling to relinquish guilt. The dynamics of the ego are clearest here, for counting on the attraction of this offering. The fantasies that center around it are often quite overt. Here they are usually judged to be acceptable and even natural. No one considers it bizarre to love and hate together, and even those who believe that hate is sin merely feel guilty but do not correct it. This is the natural condition of the separation, and those who learn that it is not natural at all seem to be the unnatural ones. For this world is the opposite of heaven, being made to be its opposite, and everything here takes a direction exactly opposite of what is true. In heaven, where the meaning of love is known, love is the same as union. Here, where the illusion of love is accepted in love's place, love is perceived as separation and exclusion. It is in the special relationship, born of the hidden wish for special love from God, that the ego's hatred triumphs. For the special relationship is the renunciation of the love of God, and the attempt to secure for the self the specialness that she denied. It is essential to the preservation of the ego that you believe this specialness is not hell, but heaven, for the ego would never have you see that separation could only be loss, being the one condition in which heaven could not be. To everyone, heaven is completion. There can be no disagreement on this because both the ego and the Holy Spirit accept it. They are, however, in complete disagreement on what completion is and how it is accomplished. The Holy Spirit knows that completion lies first in union and then in the extension of union. To the ego, completion lies in triumph and in the extension of the victory, even to the final triumph over God. In this, it sees the ultimate freedom of the self, for nothing would remain to interfere with the ego. This is its idea of heaven, and therefore union, which is a condition in which the ego cannot interfere, must be hell. The special relationship is a strange and unnatural ego device for joining hell and heaven and making them indistinguishable, and the attempt to find the imagined best of both worlds has merely led to fantasies of both, and to the inability to perceive either as it is. The special relationship is the triumph of this confusion. It is a kind of union from which union is excluded, and the basis for the attempt at union rests on exclusion. What better example could there be of the ego's maxim, seek but do not find? Most curious of all is the concept of self which the ego fosters in the special relationship. This self seeks the relationship to make itself complete. Yet when it finds the special relationship in which it thinks it can accomplish this, it gives itself away and tries to trade itself for the self of another. This is not union, for there is no increase and no extension. Each partner tries to sacrifice the self she does not want for one she thinks she would prefer, and she feels guilty for the sin of taking and of giving nothing of value in return. How much value can she place upon a self that she would give away to get a better one? The better self the ego seeks is always one that is more special, and whoever seems to possess a special love is loved for what can be taken from her. Where both partners see this special self in each other, the ego sees a union made in heaven, for neither one will recognize that she has asked for hell, and so she will not interfere with the ego's illusion of heaven, which it offered her to interfere with heaven. Yet if all illusions are of fear, and they can be of nothing else, the illusion of heaven is nothing more than an attractive form of fear in which the guilt is buried deep and rises in the form of love. I keep trying to put into my voice the air quotes. There are so many words in A Course in Miracles and phrases that are put in quotes, and I'm trying to put that in my voice. The appeal of hell lies only in the terrible attraction of guilt, which the ego holds out to those who place their faith in littleness. The conviction of littleness lies in every special relationship, for only the deprived could value specialness, the demand for specialness, and the perception of the giving of specialness as an act of love would make love hateful. The real purpose of the special relationship, in strict accordance with the ego's goals, is to destroy reality and substitute illusion. For the ego is itself an illusion, and only illusions can be the witness to its reality. If you perceived this special relationship as a triumph over God, would you want it? Let us not think of its fearful nature, nor of the guilt it must entail, nor of the sadness and the loneliness, for these are only attributes of the whole religion of separation and of the total context in which it is thought to occur. The central theme in its litany to sacrifice is that God must die so you can live, and it is this theme that is acted out in the special relationship. Through the death of yourself, you think you can attack another self and snatch it from the other to replace the self that you despise. And you despise it because you do not think it offers the specialness that you demand. And hating it, you have made it little and unworthy because you are afraid of it. How can you grant unlimited power to what you think you have attacked? So fearful has the truth become to you that unless it is weak and little and unworthy of value, you would not dare to look upon it. You think it safer to endow the little self you made with power you wrested from truth, triumphing over it and leaving it helpless. See how exactly is this ritual enacted in the special relationship. An altar is erected in between two separate people on which each seeks to kill herself and on her body raise another self to take its power from her death. Over and over and over, this ritual is enacted, and it is never completed, nor ever will be completed. The ritual of completion cannot complete, for life arises not from death, nor heaven from hell. Whenever any form of special relationship tempts you to seek for love in ritual, remember, love is content and not form of any kind. The special relationship is a ritual of form, aimed at raising the form to take the place of God at the expense of content. There is no meaning in the form. and there never will be. The special relationship must be recognized for what it is: a senseless ritual in which strength is extracted from the death of God and invested in her killer as the sign that form has triumphed over content and love has lost its meaning. Would you want this to be possible, even apart from its evident impossibility? If it were possible, you would have made yourself helpless. God is not angry. She merely could not let this happen. You cannot change her mind. No rituals that you have set up in which the dance of death delights you can bring death to the eternal, nor can your chosen substitute for the wholeness of God have any influence at all upon it. See in the special relationship nothing more than a meaningless attempt to raise other gods before her and, by worshiping them, to obscure their tininess and her greatness. In the name of your completion, you do not want this, for every idol that you raise to place before her stands before you in place of what you are. Salvation lies in the simple fact that illusions are not fearful because they are not true. They but seem to be fearful to the extent to which you fail to recognize them for what they are, and you will fail to do this to the extent to which you want them to be true. And to the same extent, you are denying truth, and so are failing to make the simple choice between truth and illusion, God and fantasy. Remember this, and you will have no difficulty in perceiving the decision as just what it is and nothing more. The core of the separation illusion lies simply in the fantasy of destruction of love's meaning, and unless love's meaning is restored to you, you cannot know yourself who share its meaning. Separation is only the decision not to know yourself. This whole thought system is a carefully contrived learning experience designed to lead away from truth and into fantasy. Yet for every learning that would hurt you, God offers you correction and complete escape from all its consequences. The decision whether or not to listen to this course and follow it is but the choice between truth and illusion. For here is truth, separated from illusion and not confused with it at all. How simple does this choice become when it is perceived as only what it is? For only fantasies make confusion in choosing possible, and they are totally unreal. This year is thus the time to make the easiest decision that ever confronted you, and also the only one. You will cross the bridge into reality simply because you will recognize that God is on the other side and nothing at all is here. It is impossible not to make the natural decision as this is realized. Wow, long and brutal. This is the sort of text reading that causes people like me to throw the book across the room. There are many things in A Course in Miracles that you can find in other spiritual teachings, but I have never, ever encountered another spiritual teaching or channeled message that is brutal the way A Course in Miracles is towards what it calls specialness and the special relationship. It feels like the worst of gut punches. It's like you're asking me to accept that the thing I value the very most of all is not a thing to be valued? What am I supposed to do with that? A Course in Miracles does have balm and salve for this message, but it comes later on, and in the meantime, you're left with that sucker punch in the gut. It is not asking you to walk away from your special relationships. And it explains that all the specialness that we value as seeming separate selves can be used for the purposes of the Holy Spirit. For example, it speaks of how we so much desire to be special and unique. Honoring this, the Holy Spirit basically says, all right then, you can have what you want. You have a part to play in the plan of salvation for all of the childship that no one else can play. There you go. There's your specialness. And all of these beautiful, special relationships that you have made in this incarnation and perhaps in all the others that are part of what seems to be you, your separate self. All of that momentum put into past relationships that perhaps is part of how they manifest here in this incarnation. All of that, the Holy Spirit says, great, bring it to me, I can use it. I'm going to turn those special relationships into holy relationships. And it talks about holy relationships later on. But in the meantime, we're left with this message of, hey, your special relationships are full of hate and hell and all sorts of awful ugliness. Wow, it hurts. It hurts to hear that. And yet, I stand before you convinced of it. I've seen it. I'm like, okay, A Course in Miracles, as hard as this is to hear, I've seen it. I get it. I still don't like it, but I see what you're saying. At least to some extent, I see what you're saying. I don't know if I have completely accepted the entire message of it, but I have seen the destructiveness that comes from taking one human being and saying, this one is special. This is my husband, my wife, my child, my mother, my father, my best friend, my business partner. It's exclusiveness. And this text reading uses the word exclusion repeatedly. The very nature of any exclusive relationship is to shut out all the rest of creation and say, this relationship is special in this way. And to be told that that's not of heaven and is of hell, wow. What do we do with that? A Course in Miracles answers that question. It just doesn't answer it today. All right, lesson 138. Heaven is the decision I must make. In this world, heaven is a choice, because here we believe there are alternatives to choose between. We think that all things have an opposite, and what we want, we choose. If heaven exists, there must be hell as well. For contradiction is the way we make what we perceive and what we think is real. Creation knows no opposite. But here is opposition part of being real. It is the strange perception of the truth that makes the choice of heaven seem to be the same as the relinquishment of hell. It is not really thus. Yet what is true in God's creation cannot enter here until it is reflected in some form the world can understand. Truth cannot come where it could only be perceived with fear, for this would be the error. Truth can be brought to illusions. Opposition makes the truth unwelcome, and it cannot come. Choice is the obvious escape from what appears as opposites. Decision lets one of conflicting goals become the aim of effort and expenditure of time. Without decision, time is but a waste, and effort dissipated. It is spent for nothing in return, and time goes by without results. There is no sense of gain, for nothing is accomplished, nothing learned. You need to be reminded that you think 1,000 choices are confronting you, when there is really only one to make. And even this but seems to be a choice. Do not confuse yourself with all the doubts that myriad decisions would induce. You make but one, and when that one is made, you will perceive it was no choice at all. For truth is true, and nothing else is true. There is no opposite to choose instead. There is no contradiction to the truth. Choosing depends on learning, and the truth cannot be learned, but only recognized. In recognition, its acceptance lies, and as it is accepted, it is known. But knowledge is beyond the goals we seek to teach within the framework of this course. Ours are teaching goals to be attained through learning how to reach them, what they are, and what they offer you. Decisions are the outcome of your learning, for they rest on what you have accepted as the truth of what you are and what your needs must be. In this insanely complicated world, heaven appears to take the form of choice rather than merely being what it is. Of all the choices you have tried to make, this is the simplest, most definitive, and prototype of all the rest. The one which settles all decisions. If you could decide the rest, this one seems unsolved. But when you solve this one, the others are resolved with it. for all decisions, but conceal this one by taking different forms. Here is the final and the only choice in which is truth accepted or denied. So we begin today, considering the choice that time was made to help us make. Such is its holy purpose, now transformed from the intent you gave it, that it be a means for demonstrating hell is real. Hope changes to despair, and life itself must be, in the end, overcome by death. In death alone are opposites resolved, for ending opposition is to die. And thus salvation must be seen as death, for life is seen as conflict. To resolve the conflict is to end your life as well. These mad beliefs can gain unconscious hold of great intensity and grip the mind with terror and anxiety so strong that it will not relinquish its ideas about its own protection. It must be saved from salvation, threatened to be safe, and magically armored against truth. All these decisions are made unaware to keep them safely undisturbed, apart from question and from reason and from doubt. Heaven is chosen consciously. The choice cannot be made until alternatives are accurately seen and understood. All that is veiled in shadows must be raised to understanding, to be judged again, this time with heaven's help. And all mistakes in judgment that the mind had made before are open to correction, as the truth dismisses them as causeless. Now are they without effects? They cannot be concealed, because their nothingness is recognized. The conscious choice of heaven is as sure as is the ending of the fear of hell when it is raised from its protective shield of unawareness, and is brought to light. Who can decide between the clearly seen and the unrecognized? Yet who can fail to make a choice between alternatives when only one is seen as valuable, the other as a wholly worthless thing, a but imagined source of guilt and pain? Who hesitates to make a choice like this? And shall we hesitate to choose today? We make the choice for heaven as we wake, and spend 5 minutes making sure that we have made the one decision that is sane. We recognize we make a conscious choice between what has existence and what has nothing but an appearance of the truth. Its pseudo-being, brought to what is real, is flimsy and transparent in the light. It holds no terror now, for what was made enormous, vengeful, pitiless with hate, demands obscurity for fear to be invested there. Now it is recognized as but a foolish, trivial mistake. Before we close our eyes and sleep tonight, we reaffirm the choice that we have made each hour in between. And now we give the last 5 minutes of our waking day to the decision with which we awoke. As every hour passed, we have declared our choice again in a brief quiet time devoted to maintaining sanity. And finally, we close the day with this, acknowledging we chose but what we want. Heaven is the decision I must make. I make it now and will not change my mind, because it is the only thing I want. Oh my gosh, this lesson actually contains the phrase about the attempt to bring truth into illusions, the thing that I have been hoping to understand, that A Course in Miracles talks about. In reference to this particular instance, it talks about how when we have any resistance or fear at all to the truth, it won't come in. It will never conflict or push or fight against our will and our desires. So we can't bring truth into illusions because it's not going to come anywhere near us until we welcome it with open arms and joy and gladness. And if I recall correctly, it also hinted at that the attempt to bring truth to illusions is what we do when we attempt to create these special and exclusive relationships with carved off little pieces of the whole, instead of loving the whole in its entirety. I've had this thought that what A Course in Miracles is asking us to do is to process again all the things that we tucked away into what we could call our unconscious mind. in essence, to make the unconscious conscious once again, no longer hidden. So if that's a place that we tossed away all the things that we're trying to hide from ourselves, like a big closet that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, well, what if the percentage difference or size difference between what we think of as conscious and all the stuff we seem to be unconscious of is similar to the size difference between the human body and the entire rest of the universe? What if the unconscious self is that big? What if that is the ginormous elephant that we all must eat one bite at a time? What a task! And yet A Course in Miracles assures us that it is quite possible and, in fact, inevitable, that we are to take all the things that we one by one tucked away into the dark closet, pull them out of the dark closet, and re-examine them with the help of heaven, together with the eyes of heaven, and asking, in fact, to look at them through the eyes of the divine, through the eyes of love and forgiveness, and then to let them go. What if the seeming expansion of the material universe is the act of the separate selves within it swiftly tucking more and more and more and more stuff away into that dark closet, and that closet is just ballooning out, expanding with ginormous size because of all the stuff that we're like, oh, can't deal with that, nope, can't look at that, gonna hide that away. Yeah, just one of those crazy thoughts I have as I study A Course in Miracles. So, good luck eating that elephant one bite at a time. We are assured that it is not only possible, but inevitable, so might as well be a happy learner and enjoy the process, as we are assured is not only possible, but the best way for walking this path. So, happy practicing.